Mama Gladys used to say that my British passport was a golden ticket. It's our mother country.
So Eric, questions?
All right, so as I understand it, this is based on your own mother's life in some extent.
Kinda. My mother, when I was young, and also just as she was getting old and was nearly on a journey towards passing over to the other side, she started to tell me stories about coming to Britain in the 50s and what it was like. And she came to Britain with her sister and a mail order bride. And I've always thought that was a really good beginning to a story.
Yeah.
And with all of the accumulated history and legacy of my mother and my aunties and my uncles' stories, I just kept thinking, there's something here. And I had an experience of, in this country, you grow up and you go to school, and your parents don't really, if you're a person of colour, I hope I'm not generalising, but they don't really talk to you about their past.
No,
It's not until they get to a certain age when they start saying, "Oh, well, when I first came here," and they had issues of racism, sexism, oppression, obstacles to getting a mortgage or buying a house, being overlooked for jobs, the glass ceiling. They had all of these things which they never really spoke about. And in the last bit of my mum's life, she kind of went and told me all this stuff about how she overcame. And there were great stories. And then I talked to my auntie, and I just thought, this is a story. So I talked to Russell T. Davis, who was mentoring me on this project, who basically said, well, what do you want to write? What really are you moved to create here? And I told him about these stories. And he said, okay, you should do that. And we started putting down all these ideas, and I realized that there was a lot of story here. And it wasn't just my family stories. There was a general post-Windrush accretion of narration that I thought would make a TV series. And suddenly here we are, we've done it, and Rochelle's there, and she and the girls are extraordinary to watch. I can't wait for people to see it.
Yeah, no, it's been great. Sort of how Lenny really passed us the baton, was like, just run with this. Like with his writing, there's so much heart and truth in it that I think will be very, very relatable to not just the post-Windrush generation, but like everyone. Even my generation as a Black woman navigating life, it's almost like a tale as old as time, if that makes any sense.
Do you recall the first time that you felt that you had your character under control? Like, this is the moment when I realize who she is and how I'm going to play her?
I don't know whether I've ever had that moment with any role, really. I think for me, every actor has a different process, but for me, it's about turning up and telling the truth of the given circumstance that I'm in. And I think often, if I'm thinking about control, I'm not present in that moment. There are moments where I felt things, understood what she, how she would do things, or after a while, it gets into your body, how she is. Do you know what it is? Do you know, if there is ever a moment, actually, it's when you finish filming. So for me, I had a week. I'm probably going to ask them to delete this after I tell you, but I had a week when we finished filming where I felt incredibly tearful and incredibly anxious, and I was like, this isn't my emotion, this is hers, because this is a woman who has been fighting so hard for what she wants and has been carrying so much. So maybe that's the closest I can get, I feel, to sort of being like, oh, okay, it was coming through me, I guess. But no, in the moment when I'm filming, it's just remaining incredibly present. Just trying to stay really, really present.
So interesting that you say that, because from watching the rushes, when you make a film, you get pieces of the program all the way through the editing process. And every time I saw you, I was going, oh yeah, Leah's here. I thought you were there from the off. The moments on the boat, moments of listening, it's not always when you're saying things, it's often when you're listening and reacting to things. Leah is very much, she's an action-based person. You know, she looks, she listens, and then she makes a decision. And to me, that can be the most compelling times watching a character, when they make a decision to do something. And I try to give Leah a lot of that, because I keep thinking that if there is a similarity with my mum, she was the kind of person that did stuff. She could rally people to do something, and that's who Leah is. And when I watch you, Rosh, I see that.
I'll finish up with the one I always finish up with, and that is that I ask my interview subjects to recommend a film that is important to them.
Oh,
There's so many.
oh gosh, that's
But
hard.
the first one that comes to mind, it doesn't have to be like this.
Mine was Gladiator, because it's
Yeah.
just a classic, and if you haven't seen Gladiator, then you should.
One that jumped into my head was Hairdresser's Husband.
Oh,
It's beautifully shot and beautifully acted, and it's very funny, and it's incredibly moving. And I want that from the films that I mean, I like Dark Knight, of course, and Godfather 1 and 2, because I'm a boy. But The Hairdresser's Husband is pretty much top notch for me.